So I married a film critic. So I married a...
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. This is Barry Wars, the film critic, and my co-pilot is Julia, the film fanatic. We are traveling at an altitude of about 10,000 feet and cruising speed about an hour and 25 minutes. Hopefully, the voyage will be shorter than the film itself, Red Eye by Wes Craven, which is only an hour and 20 minutes. So sit back, relax, put your tray tables up, enjoy your complimentary peanuts and beverages, and we'll be arriving in West Cravenville very soon.
I doubt anybody got any of that. All they're going to hear is...
That's what made it authentic.
Welcome to So I Married a Film Critic.
I'll show you how it's done.
And we're back, everyone. We're back to talk about the 2005 film Red Eye with Rachel McAdams and Cillian Murphy.
We saw this one together in the theater.
Oh, we did?
Yes, we did.
I don't remember.
Yeah, we did. We sure did.
There are very few instances of movies that I actually go, oh yeah, I remember that night.
Yeah, I know. We saw the film. This was a late summer film in summer of 2005, a big summer. This was the summer of Batman Begins and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Michael Bay's The Island. And then along comes this movie, which was definitely something of a sleeper because Craven was coming off of one of the biggest flops of his career. He had this werewolf movie that took about 2 years to finish, and it wound up being just a disaster. The film is called Cursed, and the film lived up to its title. And it was supposed to be kind of a return to form for Craven, doing sort of a Scream film because it was written by Kevin Williamson. And instead, Cursed was reshot multiple times. It was recast, reshot again. It was one of these movies that just went on and on and on, and when it just came and went in theaters and died. And then along comes this film, which is a major studio film, DreamWorks, and it seemed like such an unlikely pick for him because it's not really a horror film, and it's one of his best movies. And in fact, he, this ends up being his last great film.
His last what?
His last great movie.
Oh,
yeah,
his last great film.
Yeah, because he had maybe his worst movie afterwards, which was My Soul to Take, which was another disaster, and then Scream 4, which I believe came out in 2011, and that was his final film.
Oh.
Yeah, we lost him way too soon. Mr. Craven had a lot more movies he wanted to make. But one of the things about his career that's interesting is he always wanted to be considered a legitimate filmmaker, and he wasn't. He was always considered this disreputable horror bad boy, and too much of his career, he was stuck making... like on the one hand, he enjoyed horror movies. He loved horror films, but there were times where some of the decisions he made were overtly commercial. He did a movie called Shocker because he figured, like, I want to create another Freddy Krueger character, and it didn't happen for him. But then, he also did a film called Music of the Heart, which was a Meryl Streep drama. He really wanted to branch outside of horror, and just because he had a lot of different interests. And this movie, even though it was billed as a Wes Craven horror film, and I think people think of it that way, I mean, it's really not. It's more of a, espionage thriller.
I would call it more of a thriller, yeah, not a horror film.
Yeah.
But I was telling you, I thought this movie was really scary, and you're like, really? And I said, yeah, I guess, a female, like a woman flying on a red-eye flight, like by herself, like, yeah, this would be really scary. If you were flying on a red eye, I don't think you would.
I've flown on red eyes that are, for me, they're scary because of turbulence. But no, I see what you're saying, and I think the movie taps into that. I mean, this is about a woman who is, a survivor of apparently a sexual assault. The movie never really clearly says exactly what it is, so I think it's keying into that because the villain is also not only is he using that against her, but also he's mocking her for being a woman. Mm-hmm. There are multiple times where he's basically like saying like, well, you're a woman, so therefore you're this and I'm that. He's completely playing, all of those cliches in his favor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this movie opens up with a wallet being snatched, a seafood truck, hotel plans. We can see that something's going down. Mm-hmm. And Rachel McAdams, who plays Lisa, is trying to catch a flight, and she's talking to her dad. I don't know. Her dad's kind of a pivotal character.
Yeah, played by character actor extraordinaire Brian Cox. Yeah, he's great.
And Lisa also gets a call from the hotel she works at, the Lux Atlantic, which is clearly a fake hotel.
Yes. I don't think anybody would stay at a hotel called the Lux Atlantic. It's just one of those movie names.
Yeah, in Miami, so it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Anyways, so her manager, someone who's under her, Cynthia, calls Lisa and tells her there's a hotel situation and a Homeland Security guest is coming. So this is kind of a big deal that we learn about. So Lisa, and she's talking to her dad. Her dad's always worried about her. And I don't know. Lisa's a go-getter. She's a very competent person.
I think her dad knows what happened to her. And it's probably one of these unspoken things between them. So he just kind of dotes on her and is just a little overly attentive as opposed to actually having that conversation with her, that uncomfortable conversation. Which the film later, McAdams has this great monologue later in the film where she sort of alludes to what happens.
Yeah. I actually, now that you say that, that is probably why her dad's always saying, "Are you okay?" And she's like, stop asking me if I'm okay.
Yeah, and character makes a point of that. There are times where, well, not to jump ahead too much, but there are times where the villain of the film is really using all of this stuff against her in a very psychologically sinister way. Constantly just he knows what to say because, as established from the opening scene, he's been watching her for a long time.
Yeah, I think like 2 weeks or something.
Yeah.
2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, so he has a really good character profile of her.
Yeah. So she's in line to check in for her flight, and all these flights are getting canceled.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Do we really want to skip over the true monster of the film before we? I mean, this is a horror film, and we've skipped over Bob and Mary and Taylor.
Oh,
the true monsters of Red Eye. So this couple, what a piece of work. So they're complaining to Cynthia, about all the terrible things happening to them in their hotel, how it is beneath their standards, not to their liking.
No. This is the part where they're like, we have a reservation, and she can't find their reservation.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's at the end where they complain about all that stuff.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. You're right. Exactly. The first time it's just the fact that they can't get in.
Yeah.
But there's a piece of dialogue. I thought, wow, this lady. She says, "I have a receipt. I downloaded off the internet myself." I'm thinking, off the internet? Did people even call it the internet in 2005?
Yeah, I think they did.
No, I don't think they did.
You don't think they did?
Off the web, off the net, off the website, but off the internet?
Yes.
I downloaded this off of the World Wide Web.
Okay, yeah, they didn't say that. But, this was around the time we were printing, like our MapQuest directions on paper.
I asked Jeeves, and I went to AOL, and I waited for it to download.
I asked Jeeves. No, I think an older person would say this.
In any case, these people are insufferable. Just oh my gosh.
Yeah, because I love it so Lisa helps her figure it out over the phone and like, okay, give them this room and tell them they'll be very happy. And then when she hangs up with her, she's like, if you need anything else, let me know. And they're like, I won't. And they just like walk away.
Oh my gosh, man.
If you've ever been in customer service or anything like we have, it's just brings back a little PTSD.
It's supposed to be comical, but yeah, that's exactly right.
No, because these monsters are real.
These are real monsters, recognizable. You see them at airport terminals.
They're walking around us
day.
every day. Yep.
Yes. Mm-hmm. What a nightmare.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought them up because, they're ridiculous. So, okay, so Lisa's in line and flights are getting delayed and canceled and she's going to check her bag and Cillian Murphy is behind her. And his name in this movie is Jackson Ripner. I mean, really?
Yeah, I have a problem with that too because the character later reveals that he never lies. So this apparently really is his name, and it really is a coincidence that he has the same initials as Lisa's father. This is interesting, of course, because that gives it a Freudian spin. You could say that there's something, because her father seems to be a very good and wholesome person, whereas Jackson reveals himself to be the opposite of that. So you could say that there's kind of a Freudian battle going on, if you will, because initially, Initially, it is a romantic encounter, and then, of course, it goes sideways. But all that to say, like, the movie makes the joke, of course, Jackson Ripper, Jack the Ripper. It's, no, I don't think it's a good decision.
Do you think he really is lying that that's not his real name?
I think that is his real name.
You think his parents really named him that?
Well, remember what he says after that. He
Yeah.
says that's what they named me, and then I killed them.
Right. And then since he never lies, do you think he's telling the truth?
I think he's
Ooh, that's even creepier.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of stuff that he says early on. There's
Wait, don't.
Okay.
Yeah, because I wanted to talk about there's an older woman in front of her line.
No. Yeah, boy, if this movie has a lot of anything that makes it just blood curdling, has a lot of comically annoying passengers.
Yes.
Man, this flight is just full of types, and they're all insufferable.
Yeah, but so Lisa's reading like some Dr. Phil book, and this lady, this elderly woman is like, "Oh, I just love him. He's so handsome." I'm like, who has ever said that about Dr. Phil?
At first, I thought it can't be the same Dr. Phil. With all due respect to Dr. Phil.
No, I mean, I'm sorry. No, even in 2005.
You or someone you love. Yeah, I didn't know it was the same Dr. Phil that she was referring to.
In 2005, nobody was saying that. They didn't say it then. They're not saying it now.
But that's when he had his show, right?
Yes. And he was really big. But nobody was saying like, ooh, that Dr. Phil, he's so handsome.
She's kind of an older lady. Maybe she just has a thing for those bald, mustached guys.
Oh, no. She likes his southern charm.
I guess so, yeah.
Wow, I don't know what that accent was, but anyways.
Very Maine. I like it.
Yeah, so Lisa gives this woman the book. Because she's like, oh, no, you can, you just take it. So, and then there's another annoying passenger who's just like mad that people are going in front of him. And so Lisa kind of steps in and she's just like, well, she's doing the best she can. Like, she's being her like managerial self. And then Jackson kind of grabs this guy by the wrist and like hit those piercing blue eyes, like tells him to knock it off. And you're like, ooh, okay.
And I thought, was this written for James Spader? Because Murphy is very good in this. I don't think he ever hits a false note, rather. But the intensity and kind of the weirdness of him, it did remind me of James Spader.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I mean,
this apparently Carl Ellsworth, who wrote the screenplay, and it's a very good screenplay, I think. Certainly in terms of the dialogue, I do love that it's mostly a two-hander. Apparently, it was originally written for Sean Penn and Robin Wright.
Oh, weird.
Very weird. I can't imagine that.
No.
I really can't.
That would be really bizarre.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jackson is talking to Lisa, and he's like, there's this great Mexican bar across from our gate, and if you want to meet me over there. And she's like, oh, I really can't, I have to make calls. He's like, okay, well, I'll save you a seat. And you feel like, I don't know, do you just feel like this is pretty, if you didn't know, like when you first saw the movie, were you suspecting him that he was bad? Not
only would I not suspect, I mean, I think the movie should have leaned into this a lot harder. I mean, as we said at the top of the hour, this movie is absurdly short. Mm-hmm. I think it's fine. It's so tight and lean. But they really could have done a real switcheroo on us as an audience. This movie really could have, the opening scene establishes that something nefarious is up. There's the business of the crate that's being pulled out of the water, so you get a sense of like, oh, something's being set up. They didn't really need any of that stuff. This movie could have really begun with her, on the phone heading towards the airport. They could have made this movie look like The Vow or The Notebook or Must Love Dogs or any of the other insufferable movies that came out around this time. They really could have taken us for it because you know what? I would have loved that. And I suspect a lot of guys like me are like, oh, it's Valentine's Day. I got taken to this Red Eye. Oh, fine. I'll take my girlfriend to see Red Eye. And then like an hour in, it's like, oh, this is a thriller? Yes. Yeah, I think everybody would have been delighted.
I think that would have been better because when he finally like kind of tells her what's going on, it's so early on. You're like, oh man, okay. He could have like taken her like on a whole psychological ride and made the audience squirm even more.
And the teaser trailer for this movie is that. I think the running time for the teaser trailer is like 1:45, and like for a minute you think it's like a glossy romantic comedy or just like a romantic drama, and then it reveals a film by Wes Craven. You go, oh. So I think the movie could have had a lot more fun with that. I mean, they should have done that.
It could have been like Sudden Fear.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, another movie we just saw and did a podcast on, where it's a love story for a really long time and then kind of turns into a thriller. Well, it does.
It does. This kind of underscores a problem with the way so many movies are marketed. The idea, and I've been told this time and time again, because I'm always asking, like, why do trailers give away so much? The idea is that trailers have to indicate what an audience wants, because the thought is that an audience needs to know exactly what they're seeing. They really need to know what it is they're paying for. They want to know what they're investing their time and their money in. And in doing so, you're spoiling the crap out of these movies. This studio had a reputation for that. This is DreamWorks. And DreamWorks 5 years earlier did a film. It was a Robert Zemeckis movie. It was called What Lies Beneath.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
It's a great film. Yeah, it's Harrison Ford and Michelle Pfeiffer. I like that film a lot. But the trailer for that movie is legendary. It was the first trailer to do this to a point where it became infamous. The trailer is about 2.5 minutes long, and in 2.5 minutes, they summarize the entire film. With the exception of the last twist in the movie, the very last one, the whole movie can be summarized in 2 minutes from that trailer.
Ugh.
It is sickening.
I hate it.
Because you know what? Like that movie, like it or hate it, like there are no surprises except for one because of that stupid trailer. And it's a good movie. And it was so crushing. To, like, you go, man, like, is there anything left in the movie? No, most of the film is in that trailer.
Yeah.
They spent months making that movie, hundreds of millions of dollars, and in 2.5 minutes, most of that movie got spoiled. So it annoys me to no end that, because I love movie trailers that are inventive. I love, whether it's using footage from the film or whether it's like something really original and really pulls you in, or, works as kind of a short film in and of itself. There's a lot of examples of really cool trailers. And the trailer for Red Eye, like the teaser trailer, it's really cool because it is like this thing of like, oh, this isn't what we thought it was going to be. But this movie could have leaned in on that. In fact, the marketing for this movie could have done that. They could have made this look like a glossy romantic comedy and just surprise us. I would have been down for that.
That would have been great. Yeah. Ugh. I just remember that What Lies Beneath trailer where the
where she leans forward,
and
right?
she's like, your wife, and her face changes and you're like, oh
yeah.
See, that would have been so much better if you didn't know that was going to happen.
Much better, yeah. Or any of the other things that happen in What Lies Beneath.
Yeah.
The thing that's so the reason why this kind of switcheroo could have worked for Red Eye is the chemistry between Cillian Murphy and Rachel McAdams, is fantastic.
Yeah.
They're both excellent in this movie. This is an actor's film. And that's another reason I really admire this movie so much. Craven isn't really considered an actor's director, but he is. He always gets great performances out of people. You just don't see it because his movies are so much, they're so cinematic in the way that he's a master horror filmmaker. So I think we kind of overlook the good performances in his movies, but this is such a performance piece. I mean, it's a talky, this movie could have been a stage play, for Pete's sake.
So, okay, Lisa, she gets some coffee like spilled on her by another ridiculous passenger, and she goes into the bathroom to change, and that's when we get to see the scar on her chest, and it looks like semi-new.
Yes. Yeah, it happened recently.
Kind of what I just realized.
Yeah.
Like, it's not...
Yeah, and I gotta say, like, very smart way to introduce this, because... Look, I mean, obviously, there's so many cheap, stupid ways to get someone to undress so that we can see a scar. But this feels like a really natural moment. I don't know. I really like the way it didn't feel forced, is what I'm trying to say. The way they,
like a crowded airport, it could happen to anybody. And
and she takes a moment to look at this thing that she's probably been spending her whole day trying not to think about again.
Yeah. So she changes, and then she does go to the bar, and there's Jackson. This is when he like tells her his name officially, and he's like, well, what, let me see if I can guess your drink.
Oh, hi.
Hi. Is this taken?
No, it's all yours.
Thanks.
So, did you get your calls made?
Yep, no more calls.
Good. Well, you have.
No, I'm okay.
If I can guess.
Okay.
I'm feeling vodka. Definitely sweetened. Cosmo. No, way too common. Screwdriver. No. No, way too boring. So that leaves me with the simplicity of the grapefruit or the complexity of the pineapple. Grapefruit, sea breeze.
Could I have a Bay Breeze?
You got it.
Thanks. It's an impressive talent, though. Very close.
You know, breaks the ice.
Yeah.
So are you headed home?
Yeah. Trying.
Yeah, flying's so much fun these days, huh?
Fun for me is just getting off that plane in one piece.
Oh, fear of flying?
Yeah. Just a little.
Were you in Texas on hotel business?
No, my grandmother died.
Oh,
That's okay. She was 91.
91.
Yeah.
That's respectable. What was her secret?
Grape nuts. And a guy named Duke.
Well, excuse me?
Yeah. She said the grape nuts kept her arteries clean. Duke helped with the rest.
Wow, a dynamic woman.
Nothing fazed her. You know, she was so optimistic. Always look forward. That's what she'd say.
There you go.
Thanks.
That taste okay?
That's fine.
You sure? Because we can always get you that sea breeze.
You sound like my dad. I say I'm fine. He says, "Are you sure?" I'm sure.
Okay, I believe you.
Good.
Oh, the name's Jackson, by the way.
Lisa.
Pleased to meet you.
Is it Jack for short?
No. No, I haven't gone by Jack since I was 10 years old. Last name's Rickner.
Jack Rippner. Jack. Oh.
There you go.
Okay. That wasn't very nice of your parents.
No, that's what I told him before I killed him.
Well, if it's any comfort, my middle name's Henrietta.
Henrietta.
But that's my grandma's name, though. Was.
Well, here's to Henrietta, whose spirit is very much alive.
She's kind of choking it down, you know? And what we don't know is that he was right. That it really is a Bay Breeze that is her drink because he's been watching her. But she's trying, you know, now she's skeptical. She's not very trusting. And so she's like, I'm not going to give it to this guy. So she has a drink and then they have to board. So.
Yeah. And again, all of this, you know, everything we're describing, it really doesn't sound like the most thrilling of thrillers, but these two are playing it so well. It does seem like the setup to a romantic comedy. The chemistry is great. The dialogue crackles. This is a real actor's piece. Anybody who loves acting should watch this film. Of all things, it's a Wes Craven thriller, and McAdams and Murphy are wonderful in this. And I'll say really quickly, this movie came out at such an opportune time for both of them because this came out. These movies all came out in the same summer. Wedding Crashers with McAdams and then Batman Begins with Murphy both came out the month before. This came out after that. So people already knew who they were when this film came out. And it gave them both such a really great showcase because, you know, McAdams the year before with Mean Girls and then Murphy with 28 Days Later, I think. They'd already established themselves, but like this was the first time they'd ever had a lead, and they're both just so good. I forgive me, I'm going to say it over and over again, but I love how good they are in this.
Okay, so Lisa gets on the plane and she's trying to find her seat, and it turns out she's sitting next to Jackson.
And on the way to her seat, she passes a lady with a screaming baby, a pervy-looking single guy, and a dude eating spaghetti.
Oh, yeah, a dude eating spaghetti.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, this is a horror show. Is this JetBlue? What a nightmare. So, I mean, thank God. I mean, like, what a relief to get to the back of the plane and there's Cillian Murphy sitting by himself. Yes.
Yes. And he says to her, like, are you stalking me? And she's like, what? No, I'm not stalking you. So she has the window seat. He has the aisle. And
has he waxed his eyebrows for this movie?
I don't know.
There are a couple of times I think he's waxed his eyebrows.
I don't know. Anything to like enhance his baby blues, he's probably doing.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah. So Lisa's feeling a little tipsy from that drink too.
And they reveal a really interesting thing about each other. And I think, in a way, this movie is almost a satire of this sort of thing, because they both reveal that he says, I'm a people pleaser 24/7, and so is she. So it's like, in a sense, they're both in the service industry, if you will.
Yes.
They're both people who work all the time pleasing everyone but themselves. So they do have a lot of unmet needs in their life. There are people who are just kind of starving for a real connection. So, whatever's going on with them, and we learn that it's not quite what we think it is this sense of two people who are really reaching out because they're surrounded by people that they have no connection to.
Interesting take.
And by the way, there's a character who says as a throwaway line, so flying is like so much fun these days. This is a post 9/11 movie about flying. And I thought that's interesting because 2005, yeah, we took a long distance trip in 2005. I don't remember everyone being so awful at the airport.
I don't either.
Because this is the most insufferable bunch of tourists.
Well, it is a red eye, so I wonder if it's like...
But still, people are usually quiet on red eyes. I've been on red eyes where there's no talking. These people won't shut up.
Yeah, well...
Not to mention the guy
eye...
who gets to his seat and immediately busts out the Chef Boyardee and is gobbling down spaghetti. Like, what a freak show this plane is. So thank God she sits down to nice, sweet, kind Cillian Murphy.
It's such a relief.
Yes, yes. And so our romantic comedy continues.
Yeah. And I don't know. He kind of
well, the plane takes off.
Yeah, and she's freaking out. And he's talking her, like, he's asking her questions about
talks
her
her
family.
through it. It's great. Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's like, oh, this is like the last scene in Say Anything, where they're on the plane together and he talks her through it. Like, oh, what a good guy. This poor girl is having such a tough time, and she's finally met someone, and it's romantic, and they got the rest of the flight together, and at the back of the plane, and the restroom is really close by. This is gonna be so great. But then the line that Murphy gives, or Jackson gives rather, and it's great because this is the first time we're actually seeing him. He's like, because she's like, thank you for helping me through that, for talking me through it. He's like, hey, I'm just keeping the focus on you and your father. And, like so many of the lines that he has, it has a double meaning. So many of the lines. Again, like, I do think this guy killed his parents, by the way. I absolutely do.
Wow.
I
didn't even think that was real.
When he tells her, I haven't lied to you all day. I mean, if you really think about that, like, yeah, that adds up, because everything he's telling her is truth. And it's also truth because he needs her to believe that.
Yeah.
Because, obviously everything he says, so she needs to believe him in order for his mission. So yeah, I do think he murdered his parents. I think he is someone, as he reveals, somebody who overturns governments. But yeah, initially it's quite wonderful the way it turns. Because at first it just feels like, this, like, their little back and forth just isn't working all of a sudden.
Right.
Like,
right. Because she just kind of looks at him like, haha, that's weird.
Yeah, like, every once in a while, like, I'll say something that's not funny, and you're like, okay, that never happens.
No,
not usually, especially not on this show.
You're so funny.
No, all the time. So yeah, initially it's just like, I'm like, this is really well written. It's being really well performed. And it seems like, okay, like they're just gonna find the way back into the conversation, or he's pulling back, he's being sarcastic because he doesn't want to have a conversation with. But no, he is telling her that I've been watching you in that Sting and the police, every kind of way, and it's disturbing. And he lays it all out, and finally he gets the thing of saying, like, it's very important that you listen, and that you
do everything I
do
said.
everything I'm about to say. Yes.
Yeah. So he wants her to call her hotel and move this guest, this Homeland Security head guest, whose last name is Keefe, move Keefe and his family to a different room. And he tells her exactly which room to move them to. And there's somebody outside her father's house, and that guy's gonna kill her dad. So, she's just like, wait, what?
And you're right, most days it is my own business. But right now, as fate would have it, my business is all about you.
I'm sorry about me.
That's right.
Okay, I'm not sure where you're going with this.
Charles Keefe, one of your regular VIPs, ring a bell?
No, should it?
Yes, it should, because right now he's on his way to your hotel, and that's why you need to keep listening.
No, I don't think I don't have to do that.
Yes, you do, if you want your dad to live.
What did you say?
You heard me.
Yeah.
Suit yourself, but you might want to take a look at this first.
J.R. Joe Reiser, your father, yes?
Where did you get that?
Oh, I didn't get it. My associate grabbed it off your dad's desk, apparently next to your graduation picture. J.R. Definitely Dad's wallet, his initials. But gee, mine too. Jack Ripner, credit card, license. But for some reason, Miss Stewardess, this emotionally unstable, rather inebriated girl whom I've never met before tonight suddenly went crazy when I took it out of my pocket. You tell the flight attendant and your dad dies. Sit down.
I don't know. If that was me, I would have just like probably fainted right there. I would have been seeing stars. Like, she kept her head on, and I don't know how.
Yeah, this is somebody who's very good at like absorbing not just trauma we know from our own life, but also someone who's really good at task management and multitasking and all this
Dealing with crazy people.
Yeah, and I don't know. You're a good actor when you can really catch the actor. You can catch a character thinking. You can watch a character and think, okay, like you could really see her mind going at 1,000 miles an hour. Just this thing of like, how do I get out? I mean, literally, first of all, how do I get out of this space? It's a window seat, so she's stuck next to this guy. And she initially alerts the flight attendant. That doesn't do anything good. I mean, she is stuck. She is literally trapped and cornered by this bully.
Yeah, and he just like headbutts her at one point and knocks her out.
That's maybe a moment that I don't completely believe, only because Rachel McAdams and Cillian Murphy are such beautiful people. I find it hard to believe that there isn't at least 3 people sitting somewhere near them who are constantly watching them.
No,
You really think?
Yeah, they're all in their own little world.
They're busy eating their Chef Boyardee.
Yeah, they're reading Dr. Phil.
The one dude sitting by himself picking his scabs.
Yeah, exactly. They're listening to music. They're falling asleep.
Screaming baby lady.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
I mean, you know how self-involved people are, especially on airplanes?
If I knew there was someone, if I was single, and I knew there was someone who looked like Rachel McAdams sitting a few seats away from me, I would be like, what's going on over there?
Oh my gosh. You wouldn't? No, you would not.
If I was single and I was dressed like Jackson Ripner, I'd be like, hey.
No. When you're on a plane, do you notice anybody in any other rows?
Yeah, certainly when they're getting to their seats.
Oh, barely. I mean, it's like, even if I saw an attractive person, like, I don't know where they're sitting. If they're walking past me, I'm just like, oh, whatever.
And sometimes, you'll get those obnoxious people. When you watch them put their bags in the overhead, you're just like, oh, that person's so annoying. So yeah,
because there is an annoying woman who's
yes,
like,
there is.
Can't get her bag up.
Yeah, this is a character again, like from real life. Like, oh yeah, I've met this character many times in my life. Could you help me, young man?
Well, she was like a cougar.
Yes.
Wanting Jackson.
Yeah, I'd never get a cougar. I always get those saber-toothed tigers who are just like, young man, can you help me put my handbag in the overhead bin? My name is Myrtle. Here's a picture of my grandchildren. Oh, goody. We're sitting next to each other for 7 hours. I'll tell you my story. Back in the Depression, I worked at a rubber factory.
Okay,
You mean you made prophylactics? No, I churned rubber.
No, okay.
It was glorious.
You did get stuck in between like 2 old ladies.
Yes,
and
I
they
did.
just like talked over you
Yes.
the entire time.
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, I've had that happen so many times. I mean, it happens in the grocery store. It happens, but yeah, it's certainly with flights. And I'm kind of like Rachel McAdams in that sense. I want to be a people pleaser, and I don't mean to be rude. And if you're stuck sitting next to somebody, it's like, why not just talk? Either this will be a future meaningful relationship, or more than likely you'll just never see this person ever again. But let's have like a pleasant talk, and maybe they're nervous, and maybe they just. So
You're way too nice.
I will listen to people. I will talk to people. But I also sit in silence, and that's weird though to me. When you sit next to someone for like 4 hours and you never make eye contact with them, that's weird to me.
No, that's the preference.
That's your dream flight.
Yeah, I don't want to talk to anybody.
I would rather be like occasionally like, hey, oh, like, I love that book. That's really cool you're reading that. Or you know, hey, Big Mama's House
No,
too. You like
this
that movie as well.
This is what inevitably happens. You start up a conversation and it's like 5 minutes of like, oh yeah, and then it just fizzles out and then it's uncomfortable silence the rest of the time. And then you're done. You're like, okay, have a nice life.
Wow. No, I think I've had better experiences than that, but it's also because maybe I'm the problem.
Yes.
Maybe I'm the guy who
You're
won't stop
the
talking.
one.
That's the problem.
You're the one.
Like, hey, show me those pictures of your grandchildren. No, really.
Yeah.
I want to see them all.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I'm the one going, please stop talking.
Yeah. I'm seeing my
The error of your ways.
I'm seeing my life in a whole new light now.
All right. Well,
I'm the guy eating spaghetti that she walked past. It's a 7-hour flight. I'm gonna bust out this Chef Boyardee right now. I don't care.
okay, so Lisa is knocked out and
Yeah, at one point he headbutts her.
that's what I said.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's what we left off before
Yeah,
my
that's what we
diatribe.
were just talking
I'm
about.
glad you're keeping track of these things. See, I'm like that flight passenger who just won't stop talking.
Okay, so then she wakes up and he's like, we're on kind of a timeline here. So he makes the call. Oh, no, doesn't she forces him to call the dad to make sure he's okay.
Yeah.
So that does happen. And then he like disconnects the phone. But then he forces her to call the hotel and of course, Cynthia is there. And while she's talking to her, Cynthia, the phone gets disconnected, but he doesn't know. Jackson doesn't know. So Lisa's like, well, I'm just going to keep talking and make him pretend like, I'm making this call. Okay. The totally unbelievable part about this scene is that somebody just right across the aisle is also using their Airphone. And that's how Jackson realizes that the phones have been disconnected. Is because this guy is like shaking the phone and like,
You're
what's
saying
going
it's not
on?
believable that people use their earphones?
I have literally never seen anybody use an Airphone. I mean, maybe because the flight was late and there's turbulence and there's a storm, like this guy's thinking, oh, maybe I should call home. But like 2 people in the same row using the Airphone at the same time?
Before everyone had cell phones, I mean, it is pretty awesome having an earphone.
Oh, they probably charge like $10 a minute.
Yeah, I guess who do you call? I guess unless it's some kind of dire emergency or
Yeah,
or
exactly.
you just want to show off.
I'm just calling you from the air. That's like when my parents back in the 90s had a like car phone back when they had like wired, coiled,
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah, people had that, and I think they all thought they were pretty cool until it was like, oh man, like people are really getting into a lot of car accidents because they got one hand on the wheel, one hand on their phone, and
I think my parents used that thing maybe 3 times in like a decade.
that's disappointing. You get a car phone, you should use it.
Yeah, because it was really only there for emergencies. I mean, it was massive. That the car phone had like a box the size of our microwave that was like installed in the car. So, anyways,
If I had an earphone, I would be like, hello, Domino's Pizza. I want, because I'm going to be there in like, 30 minutes. I'm at the airport, so I'll see you guys real soon. This is Barry.
No, okay. So you don't think it's that part is, I don't know. I don't buy it that both those people are using an earphone at the same time.
They got people to call. They got like, this is 2005. Do they still have 1-900 numbers at this point?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Maybe not. Okay.
So Jackson like takes the phone from her and he's like, nice try. Way to be cool under pressure kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So she goes to the bathroom. He originally is like, hands her a water bottle, like, this is the best I can do. I'm like, what? You make this girl go to the bathroom like at her seat? That's disgusting.
And I was like, does this guy know how it works? Because I don't know. I've never met a woman in my life who could pee into an empty water bottle. I don't think it works that way.
I know.
It's like, dude, that's a dude thing.
I know. So she goes to the bathroom and you can tell she's just like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And then she drinks from the bathroom sink. That is a recipe for stomach flu. Like, that's disgusting.
She's kind of under pressure and she needs water.
I mean, Everybody knows you don't drink that water.
Maybe this is her first flight.
So she like drinks the water and I'm like, ew. And she's washing her hands and she takes the soap and she writes on the bathroom mirror, 18F has a bomb. What do you think? I thought this was pretty ingenious.
I guess. I mean, I don't know.
Okay, but she's trying to think of ways to like get out of,
Yeah.
making this call.
I mean, she's writing it in a soap. I mean, I ever wonder, like, if I saw something like that, would I react to it? I'd be like, I don't know. I'd get a flight attendant and be like, I think someone's playing a prank. Or, I don't know. I don't know
But if a flight attendant sees that, they have to take it as a serious threat.
Oh, that's cool.
So they have to tell the captain and they have to like, figure it out.
But would you, take seriously, if it was done by a lady who was like drinking water out of the faucet?
Well, nobody else saw that part. Oh my gosh. Okay, so
it's a good attempt, but I mean, it bombs so quickly because she's in there for so long.
yeah, that he comes to the bathroom and then forces himself in there. And okay, first of all, a bathroom that these two people can be in at the same time, clearly a set. This is not a real airplane bathroom.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to make obviously a bigger set to accommodate the actors and the cameraman. But no, I thought they conveyed the claustrophobia of that scene. I mean, it's an intense close up of the two of them.
Yeah, still way bigger than.
And they're banging each other around in that scene. Yeah, it's very intense.
I mean, yeah, he basically assaults her in there.
Yes.
And pushes her up against there, and he knows. Well, I don't think he knows at this point about her scar.
Yeah, but he does know about her soap bubble etchings.
No, yeah, he saw that.
Yeah, he saw that.
Yeah, and he erases it. But when they leave, the flight attendant is just like, this isn't a hotel. Oh, but he tells her like, thanks for the quickie, and I was like, ew, he's so gross now.
Yeah, he's awful. He's terrible.
Yeah. And then just like winks at the flight attendant. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, that's the way, the idea is to get the attention off of him. It's like if he acts like he's repellent, they'll just leave him be.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Because he went from being like the nice, charming guy initially. Now it's like, okay, just leave us alone. We're gross. We're nasty. It's us and the dude eating spaghetti and, in 14A, just leave us alone.
So, all right. So Lisa has to make the call to move the Keefs to another room, and she does that. And then she's like, okay, you call and get this guy away from my dad's house. And he tells her, like, no, he has this whole thing planned where she's going to have to get off the plane with him, make sure that the deed is done, and then they like go hang out together. And then he calls and gets the guy away from her dad's house. I mean, it's a whole thing.
Well, clearly he was. I think the idea is that he's saying all this because once everything is done, she has to go with him so he can dispose of her body. He's going to kill her.
He's going to kill her?
Absolutely.
Oh,
you think they're going to start dating after this? No, he's going to murder her.
Oh, I thought he was going to let her go.
No, of course not. He's saying that. No,
he said he never lies.
Yeah, no, he's going to let her go because she'll be dead and she won't be able to go anywhere.
Oh my gosh.
No, there's no way he's letting her live. She's if anything, the idea is that this character is going to vanish and the only other person who can vouch for her is her father, who is also going to vanish.
So he's going to kill the dad either way?
Sure.
Oh.
These are not nice people. It's a Wes Craven film. They are dead. Yes.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, he's a professional.
I thought he was just gonna like call off the guy at the dad's house
No.
and let her go.
No.
But because like the Keefs would be dead, so his job is done.
No, I mean it's about this sort of operative. I suspect it's about eliminating all the loose ends that can be traced back to him.
Oh man.
Or you make it look like a suicide on her part. And then when people ask, like, well, how did this terrible occurrence happen? How did this assassination, blah, blah, blah. And, oh, it was her fault. And look, she even took her life.
Yeah. Well, of course it would be her fault because Cynthia would have said, well, Cynthia told the Keefs, like, Lisa authorize this change. So
Yeah.
they already knew that.
And with her out of the picture, you mean you could even shape it like, the narrative, like, she's the mastermind behind it.
Ooh, that's
Yeah.
even more sinister.
Well,
this movie's more sinister than I thought.
We're dealing with Jackson Ripner here.
Ah.
Can I also say, like, I do love that it's very theatrical to me, because the sequences between Murphy and McAdams, they're kind of broken up into sections, because initially she won't make the phone call. There's the business of going to the bathroom, the headbutt. And these moments, they're not only broken up with some of the outsider business, you get a sense of the father, you get a sense of what's going on in the hotel, et cetera, but they're broken up by these shots where the camera is just swooping down the aisle and, lightning is striking. So it just, Craven is in his element. He makes this look like the most terrifying flight you've ever been on. It's much, much scarier than, for example, Snakes on a Plane. But you really get a sense of just, it feels like a nightmare. You feel like you're trapped with her on this plane. It's great.
Yeah, you do. So the plane lands.
As it's landing, McAdams has this amazing. It's a really well written monologue, and I think it's really good for what it implies. It's not explicit. This is somebody who is having a very difficult time saying this for the first time about what happened to her, how she was assaulted, and she has a scar as a reminder of it. And it made me wonder too, because at the beginning of the film, we see pictures in her house, and you see there's a picture of her and a young man. It's like, does she have a brother? Is this the best friend that she graduated with, who she loved and was going to marry, and then he turned on her? I do wonder about, who the culprit was. And the fact that even Jackson is so familiar with her, I wonder, like, was he a witness to it? Was he, like, watching it from afar as it happened?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Like it was like during the 2 weeks he was watching
Yes,
her?
absolutely.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I do. I mean, I think he has an excellent handle on her.
Jeez. Now I feel like
I don't say that with any admiration,
no,
obviously.
I know, but now I feel like I need to watch this again.
He's saying, in those early scenes are so key, because again, like, everything he says has a double meaning, whereas she is just reacting to the situation. And it is this, her angle, and we're certainly going along with it, is like, I can't believe how lucky I am. This guy's great, and his angle is, I have to say everything I can to make everything go the way it's going to be. He already knows he's going to be sitting next to her on the plane. He already knows what her drink is. He already knows her character profile. So it is one of these things where he's got so much intel, and he's sitting down with her, and, he's just playing her because he knows so many, like, all the keywords, all the things of interest, everything.
Ugh. Stalkers. Ugh. Okay. I mean, obviously he's more than a stalker. He's trying to help, like, some kind of crime syndicate take out the head of national security, but Homeland Security.
Security, yeah. But by the way, this is Fresh Air Airlines. First of all, do you think Terry Gross knows about this movie? And second of all, would you ever fly on Fresh Air Airlines? I wouldn't.
I mean, in a post-COVID world, yes.
Fresh Air Airlines.
Because I would be like, ooh, I bet they have really good air filtration systems. I'm going to fly that one.
No, to me it sounds like the plane is so cheap that there's actually fresh air circulating through the plane, because the plane whistles because it's so cheap and crappy.
Okay, so Lisa kind of leans down, and you realize she has a pen.
This
in her
pen that's
hand.
been missing. And initially, like, why? What's with there's these shots of these two, like, dude, where's your pen? I don't know, man. Where's your pen?
And it's kind of like a zombie pen or something.
Yeah, it's this monster pen. It's ridiculous. But yeah, she apparently palmed it, and she's been waiting for the perfect moment.
Yeah.
So she's telling Jackson Ripner basically her story of her thing is that she didn't fight back, and how that's haunted her when she was assaulted in the parking lot.
Yeah, and he says, like, oh, because you realized there was nothing you could do. And she's like, no, I realized I wouldn't let that happen again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she takes the pen cap off and stabs the dude in the neck.
Yeah.
And it's fabulous.
Gives him a tracheotomy.
Tracheotomy, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I thought you said tracheotomy.
Isn't it tracheotomy?
I think it's tracheotomy.
How are we saying it any different?
You're
from
saying
each
it with an
other?
N. I'm saying it with no N. Tracheotomy, not tracheotomy.
Oh my gosh.
Tracheotomy, the way you're saying it is something completely different.
Okay.
You really want to make sure you say it right before you go to the hospital to get your tracheotomy, not a tracheotomy, because that's something.
I
mean,
literally cannot hear the difference. So let's.
you're saying it with an N.
Let's move on.
I'm saying it with a CH.
No, stop. Move on.
So he has this pen in his neck, and this movie is definitely PG-13 because there's no blood.
No
at
blood.
all. This is
you
the
don't even see.
This is the cleanest stabbing in a Wes Craven film ever.
I mean, you see the pen in there, but even when he pulls it out, you never see just a hole.
Yeah, and I wonder if Wes Craven's like, no, we can't do anything else. No, oh, okay.
Like,
All
wrap
right.
a scarf around it. Don't show anything.
PG-13. All right. Not even a drop. No. Oh, okay.
So, I mean, bravo to her for doing that and then running off this plane while people are trying to get their luggage.
Oh, it's great. By the way, this is definitely my fantasy of just like, screw you idiots. Goodbye, screaming kid mom. Goodbye, Chef Boyardee passenger. Just sprinting past all these insufferable idiots you're stuck with on a plane. Just making a run for the exit door and just pushing everyone out of the way.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm like, I would love to do this one day.
Yeah, and then there's like a little girl who trips him with her bag. So great. Because she knows there's something wrong with him.
Well, she's the one who, she's in the she's outside of the bathroom while Rachel McAdams is in the bathroom. She looks down the aisle, and he's just standing there staring. It's a very imposing.
Yeah, well, and
creepy moment.
she's the one who sees that they were in the bathroom together.
Right.
So she knows something's going on.
Yeah.
Her spidey senses were tingling.
Very much so, yeah. And I love that. So McAdams like gets off the plane really, really quickly, and there's a moment where passengers are trying to help Jackson get this pen out of his throat, and at one point he gets it out of his throat, and he's like, just like, get out of my way. He can't say anything, so he's like busting his way out, and the two teens whose pen it was, they go, "There goes your pen, dude."
Yeah, do they get their pen back?
Would you want it back if it was like lodged in some guy's throat? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on if it was like a real collector's item.
It's like, dude, this is my lucky pen, man. My little lucky monster pen.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably not.
Dude, you might want to swab that, dude, before you use it again.
Like, you can just keep that. Just keep that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so then there's an airport chase, and it's crazy because there's all these supposed like airport police chasing after her, and she's avoiding them.
Well, she jumps into customer service mode because at one point she's evading security. So she sits down at like what can presumably be like an airport version of Chili's. She sits down and goes, "Hi, I'm with the airport. Da 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 da. Can I do a survey?" Yeah. And she's and I would think, man, if I was like having lunch with you and some insufferable person just suddenly sat down and was asking
Wanted
me
to give me a
survey while I was eating at Chili's, yeah, no, thank you.
No thanks.
But yeah, it's but no, she's great. She's able to really think on her feet.
Yeah.
I think after that next stab, and she's feeling really.
Oh, she's feeling.
Yeah.
She's got an adrenaline rush.
It's like, man, like this has been a good day after all.
Yeah. So she gets out of there and steals a car from somebody.
And meanwhile, we keep cutting back and forth to the Lux Hotel where we see this failed assassination attempt because Cynthia does get her act together, and
well, no, because Lisa calls her from the car phone.
Yeah, but I mean, it is Cynthia who runs up there,
Yeah, that's true.
knocks on the door, and is like, "Okay, like you guys gotta leave because like Lisa just called, and you're totally gonna get killed." So yeah, so they get. I mean, they get everybody out of there just in the nick of time.
Yeah, poor Cynthia.
Terrible.
Worst day of work ever.
But she's adorable and chipper. I mean, like completely like Rachel McAdams, completely unflappable.
Yeah, exactly. So Lisa calls. Cynthia saves the day there, tries to call her dad, loses battery on the phone, gets to the house and
kills a dude very quickly.
yeah, like runs him over.
The guy who apparently was tasked with watching Brian Cox, watching the father, is heading into the house to finish the job, and Lisa spots him, and he pulls out his gun, and she proceeds to drive him into her house.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So she goes in and she's gonna, rescue her dad, and then man, Jackson shows up at the house.
Yeah, which is...
Do you feel like that's a little like far-fetched?
I really wish the film had ended on the plane, to tell you the truth. I don't like all this stuff.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Like
yeah, because
them, a cat and mouse in the house.
It's stalk and slash time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
because there's a point where she falls off like onto a staircase and rolls down. I'm like, her neck would totally be broken after this fall.
yeah, some real stunt action there, but
Yeah.
I don't like this at all. I think the movie peaks when it's in the air, and I think once it's all this chasing and espionage stuff, and it becomes sort of an action movie, but then it tries to end with becoming a horror film. And it's interesting because at this point, Jackson becomes a Craven monster, because Wes Craven's monsters all have some kind of physical deformity. Freddy Krueger is burnt.
Oh.
Horace Pinker has been fried by electrocution. They all have some sort of impalement or some sort of ailment. And yeah, so Jackson is one of those weird Freddy Krueger villains. Weird Wes Craven villains where he's got his tie tightly around his neck. But he's also, he looks like a Dickensian villain because he's got like his suit and tie on and his hair's all disheveled and he's in stabbing mode. So
yeah.
So he's doing the stabbing thing, going from door to door, trying to find Lisa in her house. And yeah, it's I don't know, I guess it's well done. It's suspenseful. I gotta say, like, the end of the film is, the last act of the movie is very suspenseful and it moves very quickly. If you get up and go to the bathroom and come back, you'll probably miss the third act of the film. It goes by so quickly. But yeah, she, after all of that, after all the sense of like, he's meeting her on her own turf. JR is now going to the house where JR actually lives. You figure like, there might be something more to this. No, she just shoots him. And then he gets shot again.
Yeah. And that's it.
And then that's it. And then because the movie can't just end there, you've got this business where Lisa apparently really is the greatest employee ever of the Lux Hotel. She goes back to work. After all that. And by the way, I don't know if this was a reshoot, but considering what this girl had gone through, and she shows up at the hotel and she's just, no PTSD whatsoever.
Oh yeah. She's just like, where's Cynthia?
She's murdered 2 guys in the last couple hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she just shows up at the Lux like, hey, no big deal. It's another day at the Lux. And the true villains of the film, Bob and Marion Taylor, reappear.
Oh yeah. And they're like, our ceiling literally exploded and you need to fire her. And I don't know, what does she say? Do we know what she says to them?
Well, she tells them to write it on a comment card and shove it up their anuses. And they're very angry about that. Yeah. And then Cynthia tells Lisa, like, let's go to the bar. And Lisa says, anything but a sea breeze. And the movie ends. Yeah.
I was like, what?
It is one of these things like, oh, really? That's how you're going to end it, with a joke?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I admire this movie because, man, it's tight. It is fast. It goes by quickly. There's not a lot of pontificating. There's not a lot of exposition. It really is just a two-hander for the most part. And the build up, and then the payoff at the end. So like I can't really. I don't want to slap this movie on the wrist for being as brisk as it is, but yeah, this wrap up, man, I don't like it. I don't like this last scene. The stuff on the plane is so brilliant and scary and Hitchcockian. It just, I kind of wish the whole espionage stuff. I don't think we need to see it.
Yeah.
And I know, and it's well done. It really is. Like, if anything, if Craven wanted to use this as a vehicle to show, like, look, I'm more than the Freddy Krueger guy, mission accomplished, because the scene of the rocket launcher firing from the boat into the hotel room, the massive explosion.
Yeah,
clearly
cool.
He can do this kind of movie. Clearly he can do an action movie. Clearly he can do suspense. He's not just about monsters and boogeymen. but you could also say, well, this movie has both of those things, and it is about those things, although it's at a human level, it's not at a supernatural level. One of the early trailers for Red Eye actually had a shot where they digitally made one of Cillian Murphy's eyes turn red.
No.
It's like no, movie. We know what you are. Don't try to fool us. But
Okay, so how would you have changed the ending then?
I would have had I would okay, so I would have you can keep your little jokey scene between the two of them, but on the way to the bar, Lisa goes, "I don't feel so good." So they take her to the hospital, and then they cut to Lisa on the hospital bed, and it's total flatline. And the doctor goes, "Dysentery. She shouldn't have drank from the airplane bathroom." And then directed by Wes Craven.
I mean, it's not potable water, so I agree with you.
This detail bothered you so much when we were watching
Yeah,
this.
because it's disgusting. And they tell you that. There's signs everywhere. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's funny. For all the dramatic tension in this movie, I swear it was like that bothered you. And I swear every time one of those extras playing airline passengers open their mouth, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like being at the airport, and not in a good way.
Not in a good way. Yeah, I kind of, the ending of Sudden Fear, where you just have your main character just like walking off and up the road like by herself, I just feel like it did it better, that it should have ended with Lisa kind of having this like, I did it, like I beat the person who was trying to kill me. And whereas like 2 or 3 weeks ago or whenever her first assault was, she made it out of that alive, but she felt more like a victim, whereas this time she was like, I'm not gonna be a victim anymore. So I feel like they could have like done more with that.
Well, if anything, I mean, it becomes a lot of driving around. It's like getting from one location to another location. Look, I mean, just keep it on the plane. Make it really spectacular. Pull the exit door, throw Jackson out of the plane, have him land on the boat, which explodes. I mean, I know how far-fetched that is, but like just do something like that. Make it compact. You don't need to like, okay, we're in the plane, then we're at the airport, then we're on the highway, then we're at my childhood home, then we're going back to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too many things.
It's too much. So in a sense, I think this is an imperfect film, obviously, but the opening act and certainly the second act, I think, is masterful stuff. It's masterful because Craven is on it. The editing on this thing is so crisp, and the performances are perfect. McAdams and Murphy have been better since then. I know they have, but this is still one of my favorite things they've done.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really dig this movie. And
how many stars?
3.
3 stars.
3.
Okay.
Yeah, 3. Yeah, I'd give it more, but and then I think about the annoying final scene, or I think of the fact that I don't like the music to this movie at all. Marco Beltrami is the composer, and the music, it's one of these scores that's telling you how every scene is supposed to make you feel, as opposed to trusting you with ambiance or just an idea. It's just one. It's like the action scene, dun, 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 and then the scare stuff. Dun, 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 dun. It's just quiet movie. It's already working. Your movie is working. You don't need a score that's just like slapping us over the head with it. So I don't like the music, and I think even for a movie this short, it still has filler.
That's true. Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah. But you know what? Here's the thing. Easy fix. Give us 15 minutes more of McAdams and Murphy talking about her favorite drinks. I mean, that stuff works. Give us more of like the fake romantic repartee.
Romance. Yeah.
Do that, more of that. Those two are so good. They're so captivating. And the fact that everything he says has a double meaning, it just makes it all the better. No, if anything, stretch it out even more.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
That would have been great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, I loved this movie. And
how many stars do you give it?
I give it 3.5.
Cool.
Yeah, but you made it. Your explanations made it even scarier than I was even thinking that it was. That's how subtle it is.
Jackson Rippner is one of the great Wes Craven villains. He is, and it's because he's played by an actor who just gets the role so completely. This is just another day at work for this guy. Just like we see her in her element, this is him in his element, and that's why it's so awful that these two people who are in customer service would in a normal world, in a perfect world, would be perfect for each other, but actually no.
He's psycho.
She is a truly good person, and he's the devil.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
yeah, good film though, very good film. I hope people check it out because I feel like people know this movie, but they don't remember it very well. And Craven's work really does need further exploration. I mean, you know how much I love The People Under the Stairs and Wes Craven's New Nightmare, but I think this is up there with the best of the best. He was capable of so much more than just scaring us, and he really wanted to prove that towards the end of his career, and he did it with this film. This is a great movie, and it was a surprise hit in the summer of 2005, and it was critically acclaimed, so I'm really glad that he had that.
Yeah. All right. Well, that concludes our discussion of Red Eye.
Good night, everyone.